Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon, and we're going to talk about the Sony situation. It turns out that Sony's not doing so hot in Japan these days. Their brand is not worth as much, and the PS5 is selling worse than any other Sony home console in Japan's history. The PS5 is the worst selling home console in Japan, and this is so interesting because this is really the culmination of so many things that we've talked about, with Sony in particular being censorship happy and, chasing after Western audiences with titles like The Last of Us Part 2 and catering to Western sensibilities, and throw in some other concerns people have with privacy and, other issues with Sony. And Sony in its own home country is losing. This is nuts. And I do think the root of it is censorship. Japan doesn't like being told what to do, what to think, what they can buy, what they can't buy. When Nintendo is allowing people to release more adult titles, or at least uncensored titles, with proper warning, etc., people are actually flocking to the Switch. At least here in the States, and Sony's gotten a bad reputation for being very censorious. So we're going to talk about that. Before we get into it, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 168,000 subs, 167,000 subs. Thanks for the support. It's appreciated, and I got to give a hat tip to BlacksHD, who sent me some links this morning about this. I missed it. That the PlayStation 5 is doing very, very bad, and the brand is being diluted. The research firm is deeply concerned that Sony is not doing well, and I do believe it is tied to censorship and chasing Western audiences. So here we go. This is coming from Screen Rant. The PS5 is selling worse than any Sony home console in Japan's history. It's been revealed that the PlayStation 5 is selling worse than any console in the country's recent history. This news comes after many Japanese fans and analysts publicly accused Sony of not taking the Japanese market seriously. PlayStation CEO Jim Ryan denied the validity of these accusations, but recent developments have suggested otherwise. Outside Japan, the PS5 has been incredibly popular, resulting in console shortages right out of the gate. The PS5 also faced supply shortages in Japan due to COVID, but it seems that the console has not been met with the same widespread praise in Sony's home nation. A translation of a Games Industry Biz Japan Edition article by Resetera, of all places. User Sin City Assassin reveals that the PlayStation 5 is currently on pace to become the lowest selling home console in recent Japanese history. Part of the translation reads, PS5 sales in the 4th and 5th weeks are around 11,000 units, while the 6th week is 17,000 units. These sales are far too low. Total sales of 240,000 are by far the lowest in the history of PlayStation home consoles. If this were to continue, lifetime sales of PS5 would end up at less than half of the PlayStation 4. Holy hell. The article notes that Japanese players may feel this way due to a variety of factors. Censorship. Oh my God, yes. Including Sony's censorship of games for Japanese audiences, the PS5's reveal from this summer featuring no Japanese narration, the DualSense controller's confirm button being changed from 0 to X, whatever, and the original launch allocation of PS5 units being barely more than that of the PS3. I think the censorship is the biggest factor. I think chasing Western audiences is the biggest factor. Ironically, Sony chased Western audiences with The Last of Us Part 2. Did not do well overseas, but Ghost of Tsushima did. Even though it was developed by a Western studio, it did appeal to Japanese sensibilities. The Japanese love that game. Despite the PS4 being so well received globally, according to the graph, it sold less than both the Nintendo GameCube and the PS3 in Japan, which is weird because the PS3 over here was kind of a dud, and only narrowly outsold the Dreamcast, a trend that could continue with Sony's latest console. For the PS5 to be lagging so far behind its predecessor, it's likely not something Sony wants to see occur in its own backyard. So yeah, there are more stories on this. This is coming from PlayStation Lifestyle Report. PlayStation brand in decisive decline in Japan, research firm is deeply concerned. They said that the PS5 is in hot demand worldwide, flying off shelves physically and digitally in other countries, but they said not in Japan. It's withering away in Japan. Launch sales in the region have Ace Economic Research Institute analyst Hideki Yasuda deeply concerned for the future of the PlayStation market in Japan. Oh, the irony. Famitsu sales data published, and they're talking about this. They talk about this. They said sales numbers can be allocated to limited launch inventory, but they also cite the censorship issue. They said Yasuda also contributed to a Bloomberg report last year that talked about Japan being sidelined by PlayStation, not only in focusing promotional marketing on the US territory, but also in cuts happening to the Japanese development teams the publisher has under its umbrella. So yeah, imagine that. You produce content for the rest of the world first, and your home country kind of shuns you. And Sony is synonymous with Japan, just like, Nintendo really is synonymous with Japan. This should not be the case. But look at what some of the launch titles were. Look at where they're putting their resources. Look at the kinds of titles they're developing and promoting. Like, you were going to have to like The Last of Us Part 2. You had to like this game or you're a horrible person. And it was the biggest thing ever, except in other countries where we can see it sitting on the shelves. This is not what the rest of the world wants. And we do know that Sony is definitely censoring, and that is something that Japan has for a long time been known for, is kind of its very open market when it came to gaming. And Nintendo, of all companies, is beating Sony when it comes to getting games to market that are intact. I mean, we've seen some ridiculous censorship, little things like Final Fantasy VIII, a game that's 20 years old. They were covering up some of the female characters more than they were covered up in 1999. I mean, that's insane. But again, this is to appeal to modern Western sensibilities, and it's biting Sony in the ass. Another article from Explica.co, they're accusing Sony of not even taking the Japanese market seriously. This is crazy. Like, they're saying Sony doesn't care about Japan anymore. They're chasing the American wokes. They're chasing Portland. They're chasing San Francisco. That's what they care about. That's their demographic. We're seeing it. We're seeing them get more and more political, toward Western political causes. You're right, because Sony steps shop in California now, and it's gonna bite them in the ass. They're gonna lose their home turf. That's embarrassing. Sony's lack of interest in Japan is affecting their studies. I mean, this is crazy. Like, Sony doesn't even care about Japan. That's what they're accusing them of. So I'm going to wrap this one up. It's very interesting, though. Again, hat tip to Black Sage D that the PS5 is tanking in Japan. The Japanese don't want anything to do with it. And this is what happens when you throw away your core audience and you chase a woke audience. You lose money. And Sony might learn a very, very painful lesson. We'll see what happens. Talk to you later.